unlock Humanoid. Humanoid has been the consistent factor for the Mad Lions. He's constantly smurfing in mid lane, and I think that SuperMassive had an incredible read to deny Humanoid by picking the Galio, by denying him all of the kill pressure. So I think you double down on mid-jungle 2v2. Maybe you start unlocking Kaiser, you throw 3 people at the mid lane and start moving Humanoid around. But if he's continued to be locked out of these fights, to not have kill pressure, I think Mad Lions just get slowly choked out by SuperMassive.
And of course, Mad Lions, the team who lost, I believe, have side selection here and did opt for blue side. So we'll see if that does them any favors. What they want to prioritize is Nidalee and now the Hecarim banned as well. A clear focus here on KaKAO so far in the draft phase, as the Hecarim wasn't originally there, but you can see after that game 1 why they might want to take it away, as the ball got rolling very quickly for the pony.
So previously Mad Lions banned Nidalee, Azir, and Ornn. So obviously you can already see the adaptation. Bolulu, obviously a prolific Azir player. That said, Humanoid does have a really nice Zoe, which is often a comfort matchup into the Azir. So I think that will be the ban that they drop here. Maybe this is a priority pick of an Ornn, but champions like the Graves, the Ornn are still up and available. The Lillia as well. Nope. They're going to stick with it. Bolulu, denied.
And a huge sign of respect to Bolulu, but I think one of Bolulu's best strengths that we've seen over the course of the tournament so far is both his flexibility in terms of champion pool and his ability to lose gracefully. Obviously not super gracefully, there have been some hefty CS deficits, but he's not dying in lane, and that does matter when he's often getting counterpicked in draft.
I think it's also about making sure that you don't give free mid lane priority over into SuperMassive, especially when Shadow is struggling and trying to protect him against KaKAO. Obviously a champion like Azir can constantly have wave pressure forward, and then if you have another farming jungler or maybe even a gank jungler from KaKAO, he just gets to run amok. So maybe it's not necessarily just targeting Bolulu and his Azir, because I do think that Humanoid does have options for it, but an extension of trying to protect Shadow as there's the Ornn first pick.
Yeah, the question now is how do they want to respond? Very usually they're picking Armut's champion very early on in draft. Of course, Shen, solid laning matchup into Ornn. Late game, it's really hard to outvalue the utility that Ornn brings to the table, but able to block the empowered auto from the brittle proc means that Shen's going to sit prettily comfortable in all of those early trades. And now the Graves to be paired as well. Again, another power farming jungler for KaKAO, maybe with a little bit less utility this time around, but definitely one that will come online much sooner.
And we talked about the power of Zeitnot last game, especially in those team fights, weaving around, but Armut and his Shen pick was also a very pivotal reason why SuperMassive won. Mad Lions didn't do their due diligence, they didn't do their homework, they weren't tracking that Stand United ultimate, they kept trying to make cross-map plays against the Stand United and got burnt by numbers disadvantage. So this champion has been a high priority ban for most of plans. Now Armut gets his second hands onto it and was very impactful in game number 1. Mad Lions need to be that much more diligent in game number 2 if they want to be competitive in this series.
And the Zoe now locked in. We'll offer some CC setup into the mid lane. Obviously a bit delayed here, but I think the pick on everyone's mind, as exciting as the top side is for the side of SuperMassive, is Shadow's Lillia. It has not looked good, to put it plain and simple. Lillia in general has not looked good. We've had a few fantastic performances, and obviously still a champion that people speculate is very powerful in the right hands, but Shadow's hands have not been the right hands. So have to see if something has changed in the last few days, or if this is a Hail Mary from Mad Lions, hoping that maybe this time will be different.
Ashley just had a phenomenal interview with Jensen, I believe it was, and got some insight about the Lillia priority, and I guess in scrims, this champion is just popping off. You have all of the great tools for success for Lillia to be successful in just the first 3 picks that Mad Lions have grabbed, and it's really about the priority in the lane phase, being able to make use of a jungle who moves very quickly through the jungle, can contest for Scuttle Crab, likes to power farm here, and when you pair between an Ornn and a Lucian, depending on matchup, you usually give her a lot of space to do exactly that.
A bit difficult to play with the Shen, depending on if he can land those taunts or not. We're going to have to see. Hoping for an uptick in Shadow's performance today. The set game was rough, even if he was a relevant part of Mad Lions' ongoing team fights. Both the Jhin and the Ashe have been taken off the board, so limited utility carry options. Perhaps Zeitnot is just trying again to get his hands on the Ezreal, seeing how well it worked out for the team previously. It would do quite well into the Lillia and the Ornn, who would have a hard time locking down that champion.
Ezreal is still up available. The AD carry pool has obviously been pinched pretty heavily. You also could go towards the Zeitnot. You could go towards the Aphelios if you really want to. You have a lot of protection and zone control, so you can go for a less mobile AD carry if you don't want to go for the Ezreal.
Things that they need to consider, however, is that Carzzy is, of course, a prolific Kalista player, very often banned against him. Additionally, Kaiser has been known to bust out the Pantheon support. So if we did want to see a big shift from Mad Lions into, well, kill lane territory, the champions are certainly up and available to do so. That said, Kaiser's last Pantheon performance, while it was a win, was a bit messy, was a bit all over the place, and it wasn't really about the early game that ultimately brought it home for the team. Instead, could be seeing Senna, most likely, I think, is AD carry this time, unless they really want to run back the Wukong, but Wukong has not looked super good this tournament so far.
I mean, unless it's in the hands of SuperMassive's top laner.
True.
Yeah, we'll see what Kaiser's options are. Obviously, you're against a pretty safe and stable bot lane there. It's Ezreal and Senna, as we expect the AD carries to be, so there shouldn't be a lot of kill pressure unless junglers start getting involved. I like the Leona. You now have more forms of hard engage, CC, and frontline tankiness. Now, the thing that Mad Lions need to take into consideration with this composition is not just to kind of blow their entire load on immediate engages off of a Leona as well as an Ornn. Senna, Lucian, and Lillia are all high sustained damage champions and you need to fight a little bit slower unless you just get so snowballed ahead that you can immediately burst and nuke someone. They don't really have that capability.
It's going to be difficult, but we have two team compositions that are set up to be quite scrappy. The difference that we're seeing is the range advantage present on the side of SuperMassive. Ezreal, of course, playing at long range, so he can just fish with those bubbles. So in a clean 5v5, it feels like Mad Lions have a lot more tools to dish out that damage, but will they even be able to get in range against the likes of a Zoe and an Ezreal, something that we have to keep our eyes on. Last game, early game advantage to SuperMassive very early on. Masterful use of the Shen ult to generate advantages across the map. Do we see the same thing again, or this time will Mad Lions give the Shen a bit more respect? Something we're going to have to keep our eyes on.
And even before we get to that state of the game where it is about using Shen teleports or really being vital on summoner spells, it is going to come down to the mid-jungle again. I feel like both these mid-jungle combos can set up for very successful 2v2s. That seems to be where the game is breaking, in my opinion, for a lot of these planes matchups, particularly when you see TL just start thrashing through people with Jinsen and Broxa. So Bolulu and KaKAO with a Zoe Graves can be very powerful depending on how you set up the CC, whereas Humanoid now has the all-powerful Lucian. He has been running a mid-kingdom on some fools. Can he compensate for Shadow and help set up his jungler who's been struggling for success?
Going to be about fighting for lane priority, setting Shadow up to invade, to generate CS advantages, to get ahead, to use the utility in that Lillia's kit to snowball the rest of the map to sleep. Of course, a very powerful ability, but we're going to have to see something we haven't seen yet, Crossguard, and that is a masterclass on Lillia as presented by Shadow. And it's something we've very rarely seen at Worlds, so it's something we'll keep our eyes on as we head into the second game here. SuperMassive up 1 game. This is big. Again, coming into this series, 2 wins versus EU at Worlds. One's versus G2, one's versus Mad previously. Well, now they've got a second win to back that up, and a first in this series. Mad Lions, though, clearly looking to start off game 2 with a bang. 5-man invade, laying down vision, trying to figure out exactly where KaKAO is looking to start. But meanwhile, KaKAO's got a plan of his own as he invades on the top side. Will he drop some vision of his own? Looks like he's going to use the ward courtesy of his top laner. Will drop it at the last possible second.
Obviously, that means that the ward will be alive that much longer to get as much information as possible, as we'll see what both junglers are going to do with this. Now, typically with Lillia, because she can farm through Raptors so effectively, you see a lot of delay invades. I like that teams have been pivoting away from that because it's become such a stock standard start for Lillia jungles to delay invade on enemy Raptors that teams like the Unicorns of Love have been setting up counter invades against it. So instead, Mad Lions opt in to invade bot side, just get some information, and it looks like it'll be a bot side start for Shadow and a top side start for KaKAO.
Of course, that information going to be available to both sides pretty readily. It would have taken some very creative pathing to get to the blue buff to start without really giving that information away to the side of SuperMassive. So for now, they feel pretty safe with that assumption, and they will have it confirmed as soon as they see both Carzzy and Kaiser on the way into lane without full HP and mana. So good information from both sides. The question now becomes, how do they use it? A ward on the blue buff should spot KaKAO out shortly as he blast cones over the wall. Perfect information now, or at least Mad Lions, and, well, partial information for SuperMassive. We'll see how they use it as the lane phase kicks off. Humanoid in the mid lane, a guy that we have our eyes on. A quick level 2 is going to be big damage. Not going to proc press the attack quite yet, however.
So the nice thing that you want to do with Lucian if you're laning him, especially in the mid lane, is you want to create a slow push, which is what Humanoid's doing right now. The slow push will slowly crash into the tower, and then to try to deny your opponent as much CS as possible, Lucian has a lot of tools like the range of his Q off of the minions to poke and chip away with you. As I say that though, instead of actually punishing the Zoe, Humanoid uses the time and the crash not to punish Bolulu and try to take away some of these pots and some of these biscuits, but instead walks over and contests the Raptor camp. So giving away some of his individual advantage that he could have had over Bolulu and crashing the wave, chipping away at that health bar, and instead taking the time to get some vision for Shadow and set up his Lillia for success.
Taking the Raptor is going to be big. XP advantage over to Shadow. We'll be able to grab topside Crab as well as his own blue buff here, so should start to rocket ahead. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Orome with a level advantage feels pretty comfortable. Of course, important to note, as we hit level 3, and Armut will be able to use the Spirit's Refuge to block the Empowered Auto. We'll start to shift back in his favor. KaKAO here, though, maybe looking to make a difference.
Good sense from Orome. He got the crash just in time for the wave here, and he immediately walks down into River, knowing that KaKAO could be in the area, and he's exposed for a gank, waiting for Shadow to come, frankly, shadow him. As they're contesting for Crab. And mid-priority, the crash has come in for Bolulu. It is now pushed back towards Humanoid, so Bolulu gets first move, and that's 3 members to help KaKAO take this Crab away from Shadow.
Yeah, so while Shadow had a 1 camp advantage, KaKAO is going to trade it for the Crab there, so still feeling pretty fine for KaKAO at this stage of the game. Additionally, you can see still hesitant to punch forward, but Humanoid now going to be in trouble. Cleanse coming out pretty early on. Bolulu firing back in this mid lane matchup, and now Corrupting Pot has been spent from Humanoid. No TP available, so he might be in a tough spot here.
But double Crab for KaKAO. I mean, it's not like the worst end all because there was early resets on both Raptor Camp and Krug Camp for Shadow, but it's definitely not going to help matters here as Shadow's actually reaching for a gank in mid lane. Nope, he's just going to cover. He's forcing it.
Good damage now coming in. The flash burn from Bolulu. And this is big. The flash and the heal, of course, important cooldowns on their own, but a flashless Zoe in mid lane is a very vulnerable champion for follow-up ganks. Potentially level 6, maybe even level 5, depending on how cheeky Mad Lions are feeling. But flashless Zoe, pre-6 especially, is easy pickings.
Now the question is, what does Humanoid want to do with his wave? Does he try to punish that flashless Zoe that you're talking about, Dracos, and freeze the wave against him, deny him the CS? Or does he continue to just hard shove it in, knowing that they can walk into River, he can move with his Lillia, look for skirmishes, knowing that Bolulu can't follow as safely?
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult call to make. Of course, he's relatively low mana overall. He has a biscuit to pop if he wants to stay in lane a little bit longer. Carzzy and Kaiser are pushing in here. Should be easy for Zeitnot to pick up the farm under tower, but because he's so low mana, it might make things a bit more difficult. 8 CS in favor of Carzzy for now, as Zeitnot should catch most of those. And mid lane, Bolulu was starting to pull ahead, almost a 10 CS advantage as the waves even out, but much lower on health overall. Humanoid can back up, SnowFlower in the area as well, and SuperMassive. I love how many resources they're just putting into the mid lane. They say, hey, Zoe doesn't have flash, we know she's vulnerable, we'll back her up. We'll bring in the Nautilus, we'll bring in the Graves, we'll make sure Bolulu can stay comfortable.
Also getting a really nice reset for Bolulu. He really needed the assistance to make sure that he could get back into base because Humanoid was just trying to keep him in lane as long as possible. Now Humanoid can get the freeze if he really wants here. Looks like he's just going to try to hard push it through, also get the reset himself. We're going to be playing around the Infernal Dragon now. You've already seen that Carzzy and Kaiser have had priority into their lane. Kaiser on first reset, since SnowFlower used his reset to basically cover his mid laner. Now means that Mad Lion should be first to move into this river.
Of course, Bolulu's going to be able to catch that wave. Should even things out overall, but Lucian's
Shadow's on the
first
wrong
back
side.
is going to feel much stronger, unless, of course, SnowFlower can cancel it, but he can't. Kaiser is there for the body blocks. We have a BF sword coming out first for Humanoid versus the bits and pieces from the side of Bolulu. Will be a difficult few minutes.
Yeah, Shadow going to top side camp since he cleared Krugs twice before he reset himself for his first back does mean that it's SuperMassive that get first access into the Dragon since their junglers on bot side. Kaiser being very respectful that Shadow was cross map, can't just face check into River, despite the fact that the support was first down there, and now it's a good Infernal for SuperMassive.
Yeah, solid early game pickup. Next, of course, is going to be the Cloud, which means we will have either an Ocean or Mountain Rift. Neither one feels too bad for either side, if we're honest. But keeping our eyes again on Shadow to see what exactly he can get done as the Stolen Ignite. We'll just do a bit more damage to Humanoid in the mid lane, but Lillia now level 6. Where is that ult going to go? What setup are they going to try to go for? Top lane on an island, but the island very much owned by Armut at this point, as he does have the 15 CS advantage.
But we got our question answered, Dracos. You know, what was Humanoid going to do with his wave? Would he try to freeze it? No, he hard pushes it to join Lillia, and here they go.
The Graves, but Shen now coming in. Shadow's going to be in trouble here. KaKAO flashing out over the wall. Humanoid, though, going to try to continue. Humanoid desperately trying to find the kill, and it looks like they are going to be able to grab one. That's going to be first blood. Ornn now coming in. Armut next on the list. However, Bolulu getting caught out over the wall. Shadow has to play this one safe. He's very squishy. Bolulu going to snipe away the big Krug there. Happy to have a bit of extra money. Even happier to have a few extra flashes. Playing this one slow. Orome still quite tanky. He's going to use the Searing Charge out to safety. Second flash now used by Bolulu.
Watch out for the bubble.
Flash not nearly as anytime soon. Unstoppable for now. The flash out from Orome. Well played mechanically, but still Supermassive trading blow for blow.
Really nice for Orome to use the Bellows Breath, I believe it's called, to make sure that the bubble couldn't allow Armut to catch up to him and have a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Supermassive over the collapse of the red buff. So props to Orome right there, as we see that the plan from Mad Lions is use Humanoid's power and carry that over into Shadow.
And you can see Zoe definitely on the back foot already. We're not going to see an early lost chapter, but instead an early Seekers will make her life easier in terms of overall survival. She's going to be begging for that second blue buff spawn. Doesn't look like she's going to get it, though.
For some reason, I thought you were talking about Jake Tiberi.
The second blue buff spawn.
I was like, rude. He gives away plenty of blue buffs. Here we go, though, making use of Humanoid's power again, priority in the mid lane. The fact that Bolulu walked over for that blue buff that you were just talking about, Dracos, means that it's a free Herald. There's no waves that Humanoid is missing into the mid lane, although Bolulu is trying to push the wave as hard as possible, but Humanoid picks up Herald, or excuse me, Shadow picks up Herald, and Humanoid walks back to his lane just in time.
And that's the good news. The bad news is, meanwhile, on the bot side, KaKAO is trying to put in some work here. Carzzy, though, catching him out. KaKAO still very squishy overall. Kaiser going to the backside. KaKAO dashes over the wall. Kaiser flashes and finishes it off. A little supportal combat, but SnowFlower, where are you going to go? You can't flash over the wall, too. 2 quick kills picked up by Mad Lions. Supermassive had a play in their minds, but it is Mad Lions who come out on top.
And they don't drop the wave either, because Orome uses his TP just in case, actually teleports down to the bottom side and picks up the wave that's being shoved into him. Meanwhile, Shen has the wave in front of his tower. That means it's going to be a really easy reset for Carzzy and Kaiser if they want to swap lanes to walk towards the top side, pick up 2 kills, and not drop any CS in exchange.
And here we see the play going through, and you can, with tower completely under pressure, there's no tower here to back them up. You think SnowFlower and KaKAO, they've got a solid 2v2, but the Ignite, the burst damage, the ulti, and KaKAO just not tanky enough yet. So SnowFlower, sadly, gets to choose who he wants to die to.
And this is a really good read from Carzzy and Kaiser, knowing that KaKAO was going to come for the Krugs. They had good deep vision. It's now been removed here, so unfortunately you can't check the minimap to check what it was. But deep vision on the top side of KaKAO's jungle. Shadow was constantly invading. They used deductive reasoning that he would come for the Krug camp and set up a very nice punish. So a completely different early game this time around for the Mad Lions.
Bolulu locked up. Sleeper Shot Bubble will not connect, forcing out the heal. Not a stolen one, the actual one. So Bolulu does still have the flash, but guys are going to wander into mid lane and donate a few of these creeps over, courtesy of the Relic Shield there, or the Steel Pauldrons, whatever version of Relic Shield it is.
Not the crab.
Orome is going to be robbed. Poor Orome. Everyone else on the team doing good, but Orome cannot catch a break. Has to play it safe on the Bellows Breath. Has to wait for the opportunity to try to get away. He's a sleepy Ram God, but now he's a dead one. KaKAO grabs the kill.
And you can see what Orome is thinking. He's got all of his friends in mid lane, but no one is coming to save him as Supermassive fire back. But now Mad Lions trying to catch SnowFlower, or at least cut off his access towards the top side. Mad Lions were actually seeing that Orome was being collapsed on and were walking 4 members top side to play off the Herald and zone away this Ezreal, potentially look for a dive, but they have a small scuffle with SnowFlower. Flower does save his 80 carry's life, because now they should have information.
They have to be careful.
They should have information that everyone's here, but will not save the tower.
Wait on that one. Tower getting lower and lower, but so hard to finish off this last plate. And so much gold going to Carzzy. So this is not going to be the support Senna that we saw last game, waiting 25, 30 minutes for a Frozen Mallet or a Black Cleaver. Instead, we get to see this man come online very early. And against this team comp, I honestly like it. Yes, Graves is going to get a lot of armor from the True Grit passive on his E, but for Bolulu and Zeitnot, they're going to have a hard time walking forward to lay down any poke, especially as the Senna gets more souls.
So now, looking across from Supermassive side, as you just beautifully illustrated kind of some of the strengths that Mad Lions are finding. Supermassive are still doing a good job finding handshakes where they can, trying to trade some of the cross-map plays that Mad Lions are doing. The fact that they've now picked up 2 dragons, looking for a potential very early Elder stack, which is going to feel really nice for them, as well as their initial item power spikes. They spike really well on 1 and 2 items, so if they continue to keep these very quick dragons up, there is a very clear win condition available for Supermassive. If you're a Mad Lions fan, Mad Lions comp still is fine, just kind of chilling. They scale really well. They'll be really confident for that 3rd dragon fight. But if they get flipped on that 3rd dragon fight, then it all goes out the window, and suddenly Supermassive have a very clear path to victory here. Or Mad Lions hunker down, rock up when they're strong, and close out the game from a very clean start.
Orome's not even playing League of Legends anymore, Frustrated. He's playing Splinter Cell. He's like...
It's Farmville.
Yeah, this is...
He's waiting for the crops. He's got to wait for the seasons.
The thing is, he doesn't even get the farm. Carzzy's here. Oh, it's just the biggest long con of all time. But who is he? Is he conning himself or is he conning Supermassive? It's unclear at this point. Kaiser stepping forward. Zeitnot ready to eat over the wall.
He's actually not ganking Ezreal Nautilus. He's ganking the minion wave. God. And he just gets to now watch his AD carry pull it away. Give this man a medal. He has sacrificed everything for them.
Does it get a medal or does it get a report after the game? It's unclear at this point. We're going to have to wait to see.
Like I said, Dracos, the only difference between a tank and an inter is the follow-up that your team provides you.
That's true. All right, Engage now coming in. Kaiser, is he a tank or is he an inter? For now, it looks like KaKAO trying to fire back, but Kaiser's still quite tanky. The TP's now coming in. The rest of the team just trying to dash out. Humanoid, though, could be in trouble. Big damage comes in for the culling. Supermassive not going to get much there, giving up Armut's TP in the process as Mad Lions collapsing on the bottom side. And finally, the secret agent will reveal himself. Orome pushing in, milking that Demolish proc for all it's worth. He waited 60 seconds for it. He earned it. Not quite a plate, but he will donate 1 to Carzzy. So that's the team effort. Oh, he does get it. He gets 80 gold.
Yeah, because he hit it.
80 gold a minute. That's how much it costs to get Orome in your lane.
Cheap contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what's going to happen now. Dragon spawning in 3 minutes. Second Herald will be coming up. That could be the objective that people are playing for outside of these plates, as I say that, though. Shadow, Bambi here is hopping down. They want to make it the dive. They've got a big numbers advantage and a wave that is very slow behind them. Yeah, Shadow, I think he walked all the way here just to cover Carzzy and Kaiser.
There's a lot of that this game. A little bit of a different look, spending a lot more time around the bottom side for the Mad Lions. We check in kind of on the general state of the game overall. Of course, 2 Drakes for Supermassive, and that's going to be a big deal. Mountain Soul will be important in this game. But additionally, Mad Lions with a 3K gold advantage just about, and that's going to mean a lot more at this stage of the game. Could start to shift as the Warrior is finished, the Titanic Hydra is finished, but Shadow well on his way to that Leandres and is looking quite strong on this Lillia.
But here comes the reset. So we just saw that Carzzy and Kaiser shoved the wave in bot lane. You can now see that they're making their way up to the mid lane. They want to force the mid lane tower. Herald has now spawned. Not force the mid lane tower. Force the mid lane wave and then move over into the Herald. And the resets are slightly slow for Supermassive, but they are trying to sprint over here. Here comes SnowFlower. He's like running through river, trying to get to the mid lane. Can he get there safely? Can he get there safely?
SnowFlower can just hook his way out. There is something especially hilarious about watching Ornn just kind of waddle towards the Rift Herald before unintentionally or intentionally drawing aggro with just the Sunfire Cape. But now they've started it up. This is going to be the second Herald of the game for the Mad Lions. Of course, no tower plates on the line, but could still look to grab a tower in total. Breaking mid lane is a big deal against a Zoe composition. If she breaks your mid lane, nowhere is safe. If you break hers first, she has very limited room to play safely.
And again, Supermassive are stuck in this handshake of that potential mid lane break coming through. The Herald goes down, and now Mad Lions trying to find something.
Committing. SnowFlower, though, going to be in trouble. Big ulti coming in from Shen, trying to buy a bit more time so Armut can join the fight. KaKAO waiting on the backside, but he's already given up on this one. They know this is not their fight to win. Humanoid stepping away, but no. Bolulu finding the kill. Zeitnot ready to rain hell from across the wall, but they are going to pull away. That's going to be one sleepy Shen, but they don't really have the damage follow-up here right now. Maybe they do. Armut is going to be in trouble, and Carzzy is going to grab that one. The power of the Senna to finish that out.
It is disaster for Supermassive right there. They were shaking on the red. KaKAO was actually trying to wait for the red buff, knowing that they couldn't contest the Herald because they didn't have mid lane priority. Instead, they get picked in river off of a skirmish. The Herald goes down, clears out mid lane tower, and now 40 seconds left for Mad Lions to set up for this dragon and interrupt.
Bolulu is trying to get something done. He leaps forward. Kaiser's going to be in trouble, threading the needle from Zeitnot, but can't quite finish the job. Healing to run forward. Big damage coming in from the Zoe. KaKAO wants to follow up, but Shotgun doesn't quite have the range that he needs.
Yeah, pressure on SuperMassive. They know that they have this tiny little window where they need to kind of catch their breath, restabilize the map, and get a hold of this dragon. They really want to continue their stacks here. And yeah, Mountain Soul is not going to feel great, but the potential early Elder is kind of what they really want to go for. But this is the third dragon fight that we were talking about. And frankly, the itemization isn't there for SuperMassive. They're not as strong as I would have expected them to be at this point, but they're going to try to rush it anyway.
Get it done. If he can find a way into the backline, he will do a lot of damage. Titanic Shen is very strong on one item, but if he just keeps getting zoned away like this, it's going to be trouble. But no, Orome caught out. Orome not quite going to get taken down. The Ezreal does not connect. That's a sleepy Forge God, but they cannot follow up.
Zeitnot's ultimate just so close to taking down Orome.
Senna with a 5-person heal as well. It gets very, very difficult here. The Piercing Darkness there to provide a lot for the team. Shadow going to take the lap around, and it looks like SuperMassive decide they do not want to contest this one.
Yeah, they just waved the white flag. Again, SuperMassive saw that they had a very tiny window to try to get it done, and Mad Lions very smartly call their bluff, force them off of it, play it slow, go back towards the mid lane, force that one through, and now interrupt the dragon stacking. See if Armut maybe also pulling his own Splinter Cell.
He can do a lot here.
He needs help? He's not Titanic.
He does a lot of damage, but the problem is, can he actually get all of the empowered autos onto Humanoid? I think the answer would normally be no, but Humanoid without Cleanse Up and Armut with Flash available could mean that if Humanoid overstays, Armut could find an advantage. Spirit Refuge is always a big deal, but getting it out now, Humanoid pretty much knows that there's not a lot of kill pressure left.
And it could be, or it should be, an easy tower takedown for Humanoid now. Shadow going to shadow Humanoid down here, getting some vision, maybe pick up a blue buff if he's a good boy, as SuperMassive now looking to collapse here.
Shadow has to be careful here because ulti can come out as well. The immediate chain sees the Ezreal ult across the backside. Shadow now has to run for his life. That's one fast fawn, but not nearly fast enough. Elmer Fudd going to find the kill there. KaKAO happy with that one.
There's not enough respect there from Shadow. All he needed to do was cover for Humanoid, allow him to continue to chip away at that tower. Overreaches for the blue buff, and a really good punish from SuperMassive here. Constantly, even though it's not super even or trading up in any case, they have been trading for each of the moves that Mad Lions have made. You know, either trying to steal a red buff when they're topside with Herald, or losing chip damage on their bot tower and then finding a pick on Shadow. It's these little things. They're keeping themselves in the game.
Absolutely. And I think have to keep on our eyes on how they pick their fights. So far, most of the advantages that Mad Lions have gotten have either been Shadow taking objectives or SuperMassive over-forcing their hand and Mad Lions punishing. So we'll have to see how this progresses. Shadow, of course, further ahead than the rest of the entire team from the side of SuperMassive. Carzzy and Humanoid as well looking incredibly, incredibly strong. And once that Infinity Edge is finished for Humanoid, this is going to be, well, pretty impossible to survive, especially for the Zoe, who has very limited defensive options. Still needs to finish that Ludens before she can finish her Zhonya's. And while Ezreal and Graves certainly are going to have some armor, the Shen as well, Zoe is definitely the one who's going to suffer.
It frankly means that it's a long ways out for SuperMassive before they feel really confident taking an even numbers fight like you're talking about, Dracos. The fact that Zoe had to kind of pivot some itemization, that I think she's finally going to complete her first item on this back here. So there is some time for Mad Lions to be proactive on the map, especially for the strength that they have in their Senna and their Lucian right now, as well as some very big tank items. You know, you have a Gargoyle Stoneplate completed on Leona. Ornn is a big deal right now, especially for how weak Zoe is, just now completing the Ludens, and he's already got a lot of armor in his back pocket. So this should be Mad Lions map to do whatever they want with, but there's no dragon to fight for. It's just the second tier towers. They can start setting up maybe some potential picks around Baron, but it should actually be pretty easy for SuperMassive to kind of sack this and see how bold Mad Lions are feeling on pulling the trigger on this objective. Like, all SuperMassive have to do right now is just deny the picks. Look for counter blows.
Man, it's early in the game. Obviously, the damage over time from Lillia will start to stack up against the Baron. Damage is limited there to a certain degree, but KaKAO and SnowFlower now moving in. SnowFlower jumping into the backside. They're trying to turn the fight, but Zoe's nowhere in the area. However, neither is Carzzy. That's going to be big. Ulti going across, though. That semi-global presence. Eyes on Orome. Where's the ult going to go? Fishing for Zeitnot, but instead we'll have to settle for SnowFlower. Armut now push back. Humanoid now stepping forward. Big damage coming in from the Lucian, but Bolulu finds a pick onto Carzzy. That's going to be massive. KaKAO now moving in. The flash stolen away, and SuperMassive will get one back in exchange. Mad Lions have to be careful here. Zoe already with a picked up flash can wreak a lot of havoc. Orome taking big damage. Sleepy Chub Bubble is going to connect using the Stolen Flash. Shen now on the way in. SuperMassive just looking to extend this fight. Still have to be careful though. Humanoid with all sums available, but Mad Lions not looking to extend it themselves, just backing off.
This is 2 games back-to-back that SuperMassive have really punished Mad Lions from Fog of War. And it's SnowFlower who's led the charge on both of the big turns there. You know, we're talking about how SuperMassive just need to chill. There's not an immediate objective that Mad Lions can just gravitate towards and grab for. We're just playing for wave state. And they keep finding these cheeky little Fog of War plays where they blast cone over the tower. They find Carzzy pushing forward for vision and just sniped out by Bolulu. And it's creating a lot of time for SuperMassive to continue to farm up some of their core items so their composition can start to have a bit more bite in this game.
And the thing is that as they start to win these fights and as they get to lay down more vision control around these major objectives, Zoe gets scarier and scarier. And don't get me wrong, 1v1, if she doesn't land a bubble, Lucian is still going to smack her around. But Lucian has to get in range. And that's going to be more and more difficult if SuperMassive are given the time to set up around these objectives. Now, the good news for Matt is that SuperMassive do not have a lot of vision around this Drake. General vision around the pit, so they have to be careful about how they pick this fight. But Poke coming in from Bolulu. That's going to be a 2-person sleep. Lock up onto Armut. They're just going to pick the Shen off at the start of the fight. That is massive. Humanoid now laying down the culling. Good damage being thrown back. Bolulu trying to fire back in return, but Mad Lions should now have uncontested access to this Mountain Drake. Will further stop the SuperMassive soul from coming through.
One of the biggest difference in this composition versus the first comp that we saw from Mad Lions is the amount of immediate hard engage that it has. And you can see that Mad Lions are still doing a good job kind of knowing exactly when they want to set up for objectives, but they were lacking the tools to pull the trigger and be as decisive as some of their macro calling was. Now with an Ornn, with a Leona, immediately they walk into the mid lane, they see that SuperMassive are out of position, and they have the tools to punish that.
And one of the things about the Lillia is that when you're behind, her utility does not feel very powerful. But when you're ahead, hold that thought. We got a flank coming in. KaKAO potentially caught in no man's land, though. Armut still fishing for the taunt there. Eyes on Humanoid. Where's he going to go? No cleanse available means he can't get locked up. But Armut now going to be in trouble. Clean footwork coming in from Humanoid, laying down the damage. But all of SuperMassive looking to collapse. Bolulu over the wall, and that is massive. Priority access now. Wait, Ezreal ulti. Zeitnot looking for the snipe. Humanoid, not AFK, does not even blink. Inches from his face, but SuperMassive, now they've got access to the Baron. This is perfect timing. Shadow is nowhere to be seen. Mad Lions have to respond. Humanoid does not have a TP of his own. We've seen Mad Lions give up their lives to deny these Baron attempts in the past, but SuperMassive, they're not pulling off this time. They want to commit. They're split on the decision. There's too many members caught in the pit. Shadow's going to start doing so much damage over the wall. 2K getting lower and lower. Can they secure it? Orome is taking down SnowFlower. It's a messy fight. Who's going to finish it in the end? Shadow manages to find it, and that is massive. SuperMassive. 3 members sleepy. The Zoe goes back over the wall, but Mad Lions walk away with the Baron, and Shadow finally has a play to be proud of. A clean performance from him.
It was the ultimate, I heard you were talking shit. Shadow comes up big. He pulls out the Lillia. It finally looks like we're going to have a successful game on the champion. He manages to secure the Baron for his team. And yeah, he didn't do it alone. The Mad Lions have constantly stopped SuperMassive on this objective specifically every single time as we take another look at this one.
And just so spread, so scrappy. Of course, Zeitnot goes over the wall. Shadow says, fine, let's trade places. Manages to get the smite. KaKAO does not. And 2-person sleep is icing on the cake as he manages to escape. But a valiant trade of his own life in this case. So, yeah. For once, Mad Lions are not, they're not getting caught up too much in the scrapping around of SuperMassive. SuperMassive played fantastically to set themselves up for that Baron in the first place, but Mad Lions punished. And because they secure the steal, because SuperMassive betted on a 50-50, it's starting to feel pretty impossible for SuperMassive to find another advantage.
And don't get me wrong, a 50-50 is never going to look good. Not like that gold graph for EU fans. But I like how crafty SuperMassive are. Like, think of all the times over this series where it's like that deep teleport into the jungle to immediately turn on the Baron. The blast cone over the wall. The fog of war on mid lane for the Alistar wombo combo. Like, these guys, they like throw the rulebook out the window and they hard force plays, and it's just really exciting to watch them. Now, in this game, it's still Mad Lions with the Baron. It's still Mad Lions now with a lot of control here, but I kind of get the feeling that you can almost never count SuperMassive out because they're so willing to throw a wrench and just break everything. Like, if you think how the formula should go, SuperMassive will supervent that and punish you.
Something we have to keep our eyes on. Of course, Mad Lions They don't have the best sieging tools. It's pretty much just Senna. And Lucian can step forward, but it is always going to be risky to do so. Big ulti now coming in. Zeitnot has been marked. Zeitnot will be sleepy, but the team is there to body block. Is going to cleanse at the last possible second, but Mad Lions, their main objective being the tower, they're still going to get it. And Cannon Minion there to body block the sleep. Perfectly timed in the end. Minions coming to save the day for Mad Lions, but big damage now going on. Kaiser's going to be in trouble. KaKAO looking for the flank off to the side, but he's not the Hecarim. He does not have easy access into the back line.
But look at the heals from Carzzy. You know, unless SuperMassive really pulled the trigger themselves, this poke damage, this huge chunk that Zeitnot and Bolulu are putting out doesn't mean anything.
Bit more than just poke damage, though. As you can see, the Humanoid hits like a truck, and Orome always his biggest one, so he's there to body block there. Fantastic ult from Zeitnot across the side, but cannot look for any follow-up. Bolulu fishing will again connect on Orome, but he is going to be able to back off on that one. One inhibitor down now for Mad Lions. This is their game to lose. At this point, should be clean and simple. They should know how they want to play this one out, but SuperMassive are not going to make it easy.
Yep, so looking at the map state, the Dragon is spawning in 1 minute. Obviously, the next most important inhibitor for Mad Lions to secure would be the mid lane inhibitor, although the easiest objective to secure would be the Dragon and then the top outer tower. This is a game-defining fight away from ending, however. SuperMassive are not afforded any more mistakes. Falling down would mean the end of Game 2 in a 1-to-1 series.
Yeah, and it's very difficult because there's so many people that you have to worry about. But if you forget about Humanoid especially for even a second, he will one-shot most of your backliners. So they have to give him that respect, but also have to respect the potential for Shadow to do so much sustained damage over the course of one of these fights. Bolulu just continuing to lay down poke. Will get harder as the wave crashes in. And both sides, it appears, just fishing. Bolulu constantly using that ult. We're seeing the Swirl Seed thrown out, as well as the Snare coming out from Carzzy, but now Kaiser moving in. Hex Flash over the wall. Ornn ultimate, and they're all moving into the pinch. This is disastrous. Now, 3 targets sleep. They've locked up multiple members. Zeitnot isolated off to the backside. This looks like a one fight for the Mad Lions. SuperMassive pulling back, but the wave in mid lane means that Mad Lions have priority access to the base, to the inhibitor, and could look to end the game. Armut, oh no, that's insult to injury. Shadow just looking to stop these backs as Mad Lions can start to push in.
Like you said, Dracos, it's Shadow that's zoning away all of the rest of SuperMassive. Maybe they pick up the Fawn.
It's a fast Fawn, though. KaKAO procs the phase rush, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, and Mad Lions not looking to overextend, not looking to overcommit themselves. They'll settle for their second inhibitor and move to their third Mountain Drake.
Yep, everything is coming up heads for Mad Lions right now. They got the inhib, they're taking the Drake, they'll link with the reset set up for the Baron that's spawning in 1 minute and 15 seconds. And look at KaKAO right now. He's like, okay, what are my options here? I know that the Baron is coming. I can maybe try to hide in the jungle. I think he's stealing away a blue buff, possibly a Gromp, but you now have to look for one of those really crafty maneuvers from SuperMassive for them to have a shot at, you know, moving to a potential match point. Otherwise, this looks, you know, clean and dusted for Mad Lions. Humanoid special shout out there. You called it at the beginning of the fight, Dracos. Just finds Zeitnot and blows him up, completely forcing him out of the fight.
Shadow has stopwatch. This is going to be very difficult, but it will be much easier if Armut's there. The immediate taunt, the immediate follow-up. You can't try to stopwatch. The team going to throw the shield across the top, and of course, he's going to stop himself from getting hit by it. The flash does not work for them. SuperMassive can't look to find the flight, but Orome comes over the wall, and the Ornn is strong. The knock will not connect, but SnowFlower will still go down. His ulti canceled. The rest of SuperMassive retreating. It is a 1-for-1 support for jungle. SuperMassive happy to take that one, but still, what will it amount to?
I love this team. SuperMassive are fun. I love how they break it. KaKAO's like, I'll take this blue buff. I'll wait in this bush. Someone will come.
Look, the worst thing in League of Legends, and this is why when Spawn was talking about the OS teams, I like it so much, is when people lose slowly. Like when you just let yourself be bled out.
They are not a team that watch themselves lose.
They're going to take the risk.
We gotta flip this game somehow. Now, because KaKAO and Armut did manage to kill Shadow, it does mean that Mad Lions' only option is to 4-man stack into this top lane, since you have super minions coming in mid and bot waves, instead of immediately turning on the Baron and try to flip that 50-50 when you don't have smite. So they did buy themselves some time, although lost a tower for it.
Yeah, but look at the vision. You got TP flanking wards for Armut. If he can find a way into the backline, maybe he can get something done, but it's going to be tough. Edge of Night is there for Carzzy. He's going to need a different spell to open it up, and still they've caught him out. KaKAO's in trouble. He's going to try to take himself out to safety. All of the damage coming in from these CC ultimates. Zeitnot knocked up and knocked down. SuperMassive on the way in. Kaiser on the chase. Mad Lions, this is their position to end. Bolulu has to run. The wave crashing into the mid lane. They've got the supers to back them up. SuperMassive may not have enough time to regroup, recollect themselves. Some flashes available, but Zeitnot already dead. SnowFlower up. They don't really have a lot of damage. They just have to focus on clearing the waves, but Doesn't seem like they have enough left in the tank. Bolulu still has yet to die this game. Armut now going to be leaping into trying to find the follow-up, but the culling just does so much damage from Humanoid. The follow-up is there for the Mad Lions, and in game 2, Mad strike back. They will not go quietly out of this tournament, even as EU's 4th seed. They will find their first win in this series and tie it up 1-1 eventually.
We had 2 questions coming into this series, Dracos. How do you protect Bolulu from Humanoid, and how do you protect Shadow from KaKAO? And Mad Lions found a lot of that success by having the Lucian pick, by pulling out the Lillia, something that, you know, fans right now are like, don't pick this champion.
I mean, I'm also like, don't pick this champion, but I was wrong. I'll give it to that. Shadow had a clean game.
But Humanoid was what empowered that. I believe ended the game 7-2, something like that. Maybe he picked up a few more kills on the back end. Huge credit to him for this second game. Yes, there were other key moments who stepped up. Orome definitely knew what his job was, which was just to be a meatball. He stood in front and blocked all of those Zoe bubbles. He sacrificed all of his farm, but Humanoid, that is now the problem that SuperMassive need to solve. They did it by denying him kill pressure with the Galio. They tried to take the Zoe matchup here, and they just couldn't control this man.
Yeah, and I think the thing was, is even though Bolulu individually had a fantastic scoreline, so much of his impact was just mitigated by the fact that he came under so much pressure, by the fact that his mid lane tower was broken so early on into the game. And the other thing that I think we have to keep our eye on is that SnowFlower's been picking great fights the entire game. KaKAO, on the other hand, has not. We saw it in the Hecarim game, and we saw it in the bot side play as well. They picked off more than they could chew, and again, they put themselves in a position